Good morning. Welcome to the Treasure Coast Unitarian.
I think you have to talk closer into it. Right.
Oh, the mic?
Right here.
Okay. As loud as I am? Okay. Welcome to the Treasure Coast Unitarian Universalist Congregation in Stuart, Florida. Today is September 17th, 2023. My name is Barney Miller Moore, and I will be your worship associate today. We are a welcoming congregation. We welcome people of all gender identities, ethnicities, ages, and backgrounds. We're on YouTube as well. To be put on our mailing list, our email list, or to find out more information about us, please go to our website at tcuuc.org and note the email link to request our online. Please, at this time, silence your cell phones. Visitors, if you're comfortable, are we ready for that? Okay. Step up to the mic and introduce yourselves. No? Okay. Is anyone interested? No? Okay. We're going to light the chalice.
I will. I'm sorry. My husband is not as comfortable, but I will. I'm Dawn and Carlos Moran. We live close by for the past 11 years that have never been in, but thanks for welcoming.
Thank you. Welcome. Okay. I'm sorry. We were going to have the prelude first, aren't we?
Yes.
Okay. We're going to have the prelude first. Thank you. Okay, now we're going to have the lighting of the chalice. We light this chalice, symbolic of the warmth of community and the brightness that love brings to the world, illuminating our search for justice and peace. Light that force that nurtures all living things here in our midst in this flame, so tiny and so significant. Our opening words today: being together is a visible and profound claim that we have faith in one another. We come together as a people of faith, whether you are active in a specific tradition or not. Faith is about the naming of what it is you trust and lean into in times of pain or joy. Being together is a visible and profound claim that we have faith in one another, that we have trust in this loving community. That was by Reverend Sue Browning. Our first hymn, For the Beauty of the Earth, number 21. Please stand if you're willing and able. Thank you. Today, Reverend Bob MacDonald is in the pulpit, and I have done everything out of order today. Okay. Okay, so we sang our first one. And we're going to do our affirmation. Love is the spirit of this church, and service is its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another. Thank you.
The responsive reading is number 586. In the back of the hymnal, pretty wonderful words of Abraham Lincoln, The Idea of Democracy, 586. As labor is the common burden of our race, so the effort of some to shift their share of the burden onto the shoulders of others is the great, durable curse of the race. As I would not be a slave, so I would not be a master. This expresses my idea of democracy. Whatever differs from this, to the extent of the difference, is no democracy. Our reliance is on our love for liberty. Our defense is in the spirit which prizes liberty as the heritage of all people in all lands everywhere. Destroy this spirit, and we have planted the seeds of despotism at our own doors. Those who deny freedom to others deserve it not for themselves and cannot long retain it. Why should there not be a patient confidence in the ultimate justice of the people? Is there any better or equal hope in the world? Let us have faith that right makes might, and in that faith, let us, to the end, dare to do our duty as we understand it. Maybe we should do that one every week. Was that like saying amen, Jackie? Okay, now is our time of sharing matters of joy, sorrow, concern. We hope that as you share yours, you'll know you are heard and supported. We ask you to be brief and personal. Let me just say, we keep Rose Krickenberger in our thoughts and prayers. John's service is next Saturday at 11 o'clock. I hope a number of you are planning to be here. John was a great member of ours, president of our board, and just a wonderful presence here for about a decade. John Krickenberger's life celebrated next Saturday morning. Now, who has a matter of joy or sorrow to share? Either come to the mic or from where you're sitting, speaking loud.
Mine is one of joy.
What's that?
Mine is one of joy.
Good.
Okay, I usher at the Barn Theater, and right now we are doing Kinky Boots, and I believe that is one of the principles of this church, and that is to accept one another. So I invite all of you to go see it because it is probably the best production they've ever done there.
Good. Now, wait a minute. Something has happened to our arrangement up here. I'm going to find the river, Janet. You may know where it is. Somebody move. I heard her start singing. There's nothing like the out of control that you feel as a minister of this congregation. I had daughters. They taught me that enough. This is our symbolic river of life. So I'll put the first one in here. Who else has a matter of joy or sorrow to share from the mic or from your chair? Come forward or stand, whichever. Did I scare you away? No.
I have a funny joy. Okay. I know you like happy, funny things. So I have a kind of a humorous joy that I just had a birthday, and I'm 73, and I have just discovered that Mars bars are dark chocolate with coconut inside. And I always got almond joys, and I don't like milk chocolate, but I like the almonds. But this was it was almost an epiphany for me to find something at my age that I absolutely love, and is making me very happy.
Anyone else? Thank you, Jackie. I think you're done now. Anyone else? Well, we move one for those that we don't say out loud. Most of us have somebody we're worried about, care about. This is for them. And now moments of silence. The meditation is entitled Out of the Stars by Robert Weston. Out of the stars in their flight, out of the dust of eternity, here have we come. Stardust and sunlight, mingling through time and through space. Out of the stars have we come, up from time. Out of the stars have we come. Time out of time before time, in the vastness of space, Earth spun to orbit the sun. Earth with the thunder of mountains newborn, the boiling of seas. Earth warmed by sun, lit by sunlight. This is our home. Out of the stars have we come. Mystery hidden in mystery, back through all time. Mystery rising from rocks in the storm and the sea. Out of the stars, rising from rocks and the sea, kindled by sunlight on earth, arose life. Ponder this thing in your heart. Ponder with awe. Out of the sea to the land, out of the shallows came ferns. Out of the sea to the land, up from darkness to light, rising to walk and to fly. Out of the sea trembled life. Ponder this thing in your heart. Life up from sea, eyes to behold, throats to sing, mates to love. Life from the sea, warmed by sun, washed by rain. Life from within, giving birth, rose to love. This is the wonder of time. This is the marvel of space. Out of the stars swung the earth. Life upon earth rose to love. This is the marvel of life, rising to see and to know. Out of your heart cry wonder. Sing that we live. Robert T. Weston. And now I'm a bit out of order, but I think we do Spirit of Life, 123. We hum a verse, we sing the verse. We remain seated. now we invite you to be part of our morning offering. We hope that you catch generosity and joy here. We also hope you share it. I'm going to explain just a moment before I ask two volunteer ushers. I also told you last week we're going to begin an offering today for Maui. So the ushers are going to pass the plate for our regular offering to keep us alive here. In the middle of this table up here is a plate that says Maui. After the service, if you're ready to give to that today, please come up and put it in that plate or put it in an offering envelopes that's there and put your name on it if you want to. But we'll be doing this for a couple of weeks. It's really important that we, through the UU Service Committee, raise what we can to help that rebuilding out there, Maui. But first, our morning offering. Where are my volunteers? Bless you, my children. Thank you, Jackie. Kol Nidre, is Rosh Hashanah today or yesterday that it began? When is it? Okay. Judaism, of course, is one of the religions that source UU, Judaism and a number of other religious faiths. But it's important today to remember that Judaism is under attack in the world and in the U.S., a mystery, a sad mystery that goes on. We want to remember that because we want to do and say whatever we can to change that. Now I think it's time to receive new members. We have 3 joining us today. I'll ask them to come to the front to meet me up here. You have a bulletin with you because we're going to do this covenant on the back. We're going to make you promise things.
By the way, that was the covenant. Kol Nidre is the covenant taken once a year.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, this guy isn't becoming a new member. He's Bill Falk, and he's a long-term member, board president. I asked him to join us. So we're all together going to be part of this covenant, so I'll start. Today, we welcome into our community these new members who have chosen to make a commitment to this congregation by signing our membership book shortly. New members, we are so glad to have you here with us and that you have chosen this community of fellow seekers to travel with you on your life journeys. Will you accept our gifts of friendship, discovery, and service? Will you offer us your unique presence and gifts? Will you add your name to the long history of Unitarian, Universalist women and men who spread hope with our living faith? Will you engage with us as we seek to create a community and a world dedicated to love and justice?
We will.
Congregation, will you welcome these new members with the warmth and comfort of your fellowship? Will you seek to add your strengths and talents to the new gifts they bring to us? Will you share our triumphs and our struggles as our community grows and changes? We will. Let us say together again the covenant of this church, the promise that we make each week to ourselves and to each other, which holds our community together with common purpose and common love in the midst of our beautiful diversity of belief. Love is the spirit of this church, and service is its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek truth and love, and to help one another. Welcome, Fran Rabideau. Fran has been worshiping with us for some time. She hasn't rushed into joining, but we're glad you're joining officially today. Now, your career has been as a social worker with one more. We're going to have a group one of these days just for. But your field was youth justice and adult substance abuse. She has a husband who's a committed fisherman. And what else do I want to tell him about you? From Flint, Michigan, originally. Yeah, welcome. And this is Kitty Rowell. Kitty is from Alabama. If you say anything to her and she responds, you get that idea pretty quickly. Anyhow, we're certainly glad you're here. Her field has been leadership development. She calls herself a leadership coach. And she assures me she hasn't joined because she thinks I need one. But anyway, that's her background. She has a daughter. Am I saying this right? A stepdaughter. How many grandchildren? Six. And do you have a cat named Boo? Yes. A cat named Boo. There you go. Juanita is from Buffalo. She's in the warm area of New York, I'm sure you know. Her field was the airline industry. One daughter, two granddaughters, and two granddogs named Piper and Sully, which kind of sound like they're related to the airline industry. But anyway, welcome among us. Now, Bill is welcoming you, but he also has a present for you. If we don't have it now, it'll be coming soon. Pledge card. He thought that I forget something.
I didn't forget it. I looked for it and couldn't find it.
But we will, be sure.
We're glad we're glad you're here.
Don't leave, we do want to give you. This is the history of our church, and you already know the last three words in it. But we'd like you to catch up on the rest. And this. Oh, you already have one.
But this one's prettier.
Yeah, this one has color. You have two now. After the service, come on back up and write your names in the book of life.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you very much. You're so welcome.
Now, I have a short video that really isn't choral. It's a little refresher for all of us, I hope. I'm not hearing any sound, but we can read it if we can't hear it.
Yeah, start. Audio. No. You can come out and sing it.
Or just cancel it. Not everything works here, but we keep going. One more thing before the sermon. This afternoon, a number of us are going to the play at Axe Playhouse. It's is it called Mousetrap? Yes. Yeah. And then we were going to a restaurant afterwards. We are going. How many are planning to go to the restaurant? Okay. The place we were going to nearby is closed for today, I believe. I went over, it says closed. So I've made arrangements at Carson's nearby. Do you know Carson's? It's just up the road past it. So we'll go there after, unless I find out something differently about the Italian place nearby. So that's this afternoon.
There's an Asian place right down past your relatives.
What's that?
There's an Asian restaurant at the end. It's
Yes, thank you.
very big and quiet. Carson's will not be quiet. Oh my, but it's a football game, so.
We'll talk about this later. For me, personal growth with periodic ahas, spirituality, and what is right and wrong in the world beyond myself, these all form a kind of bundle. They can be separated like catching the headlines in the morning, but most of the time they are interrelated, connected. They are so related that, like peeling the proverbial onion, you can't always be sure what has you close to tears. UUs are known for head and heart. That photographic pantheon of heroes with the 100th box saved for you, it's right next to the door going into the next room. It captures that. It's a proud heritage. Giants of the brain and heart have shown us the way. So this is a place to let brain and heart do what we can and just have to. Another way I see the connection is captured in the word and reality of passion. Passion is about the head and the heart. I like to keep reading that preface of the philosopher Bertrand Russell because he says in his own epitaph, "This is what I have lived for, and this has been my life, and I have found it worth living." While we live, we want our living to matter, to make a difference. So passion captures that for me. What drumbeat fuels our heartbeat? Another way of putting that for me is tell me what you are passionate about, and I will tell you what I am passionate about. I think that's what makes us interesting to each other and to ourselves. In the 70s, I was minister of a small church on the Nassau-Suffolk border of Long Island, New York. There was an interdenominational meeting one Sunday afternoon in the large Roman Catholic church in the area. Before the host priest got into the topic of the meeting, which I forget, he said, "Let me first introduce you to a member of our parish who just got back from her tour in the Peace Corps in Guatemala." Mary stood up and said, "Hello, everybody. I loved it there, and I'm glad to be home," and sat down. Then the priest said, "Why don't you come to the mic and tell us your most vivid memory of being there?" She did, and told us. This had nothing to do with my work with the people which I loved, but while I was there, I got into skydiving. Skydiving. There was a small plane that picked people up near a field, and then high above that field, they jumped to it. But you had to have your own parachute. No Amazon then to order a parachute. She had always been a sewer, so she knew she could do this. She moved around the circle. The circle was about the size of this room, and we had a big row of chairs around it. She moved around the circle and showed us how she laid open a large tarp or cloth and made it into a parachute. All the while she was doing this in Guatemala, she said, a crowd gathered around the circle just like us in our chairs and were riveted to this strange scene. And just like that crowd, we could see the parachute on the floor through her joy and excitement in telling us. When she was done and the meeting was over, I was the first to her to ask, "Please come to my church and do what you just did." And she did. Now, has anybody here ever jumped from a plane with a parachute? A couple people have. I have not. High anxiety. We are most alive when we are doing and or promoting what we are passionate about. We are living in a time when we have to be especially careful in our doing and in our talking. Most people who find this UU, at least in my experience here, have said they are looking for kindred spirits. They are looking for people who are free to speak openly about what they believe and just as openly about what they question or what they no longer believe or question. I don't come here to be with people who believe just like me. I often don't know what I believe. Liberal and progressive mean open-minded. The faith of our mothers and fathers is good to know and certainly good to respect, but is not for us good to repeat. It's important for me to be able to talk about what I care about and fear for all of us, especially for my children and grandchildren and great-grandchildren whom I may or may not get to know. I think I always have to say that I have to be free to welcome disagreement, but I don't know why I need to remind you of that. You are free to disagree. I think you know that. I think it's bedrock to your faith. I came of age, college age, during the Vietnam War. I knew I couldn't believe in it or go, but I had to respect those who felt very differently, and many who thought I was unpatriotic and worse. That uncomfortable era was followed nationally by Watergate. We have been a pretty divided nation during most of our adult lives. I mentioned last Sunday a historian who wrote about the McCarthy era, the 50s, as a particularly toxic time of partisanship, spoiling the conversations of neighbors and friends. I've read that Lucille Ball, way before her Lucy popularity, had a membership card in the U.S. Communist Party. Was that really any different from my teen enthusiasm for Barry Goldwater? Wow, the things you are free to say and confess in these UU enclaves. Karina, can you bleep the last minute? That high school debate, I was pro the conscience of a conservative, Goldwater's guiding manifesto. That debate was about making your point clearly as if you were convinced. It wasn't about, let's listen to each other, let's respect each other. I have my point and you have yours. That had to await maturation. Some relationships where you learn that having your way is not just what a relationship is about. Scoring points racks up a win in debates. But hopefully you get into relationships because you know they're about more than winning or points scored. This place, TCUUC, is important because here we can let what is on our mind, heart, or sleeve show. We've got to be able to air, A-I-R, the wrestlings, often tormented and tormenting, the wrestlings of our minds, hearts, and loyalties. If my airing sounds like erring, E-R-R, to you, the understanding has to be, I am free to talk, and you are free to talk. I also must be willing to listen. We all know people who only want to talk. The world doesn't lack for monologue. Twitter, Facebook, Truth Social. But dialogue, taking turns to talk and to listen, where do we find that? In divisive, partisan times like the last century. I'm about to air, so I need a big drink of water. Christiane Amanpour is celebrating 40 years with CNN. And this past week, she had a guy on who has studied and written a report on the state of higher education in America. To me, there were a number of hair-on-fire revelations. Education was my way up and out, my brother's also. The GI Bill after World War II welcomed home 1 million, it seemed, with a ticket to education, to housing, and to the middle class. That was then. The report on higher education today is startling and deeply troubling. There are 2 million fewer undergraduate students today than there were a decade ago. 2 million fewer undergraduates today than a decade ago. Higher education is much more expensive here than it is in developed Europe or Asia. Not long ago, I heard you can attend Cambridge University in the UK for $20,000 per year. I think Cambridge and Oxford are the Brits, Yale and Harvard. The fact remains that college graduates earn more, a lot more. 75% was the average more quoted. But the brighter neon light, off-putting neon light, is debt, lifelong debt for parents and for students. I don't think any political leader is going to tell us this, but if higher education in America is in decline, America is in decline. That study highlighted more troubling signs. For decades now, education has been primarily about getting a job, learn in order to earn. Liberal arts have always been undervalued in America's heartland. The wonderful people in my little farm community churches where I worked my way through college, they used to say, "Brother Bob, don't bring a college head home. Our farm girls can cook." They also told me if you go to seminary, you will lose your faith. They had a point there. State legislatures have learned they can defund the liberal arts in state universities. They more than suspect liberal arts are turning out people who think and question. I've heard that that's what West Virginia's legislature is doing. The legislature is defunding the liberal arts programs in the state university in Morgantown. Not far away from there, I got to see Waiting for Godot on our small college stage. Existentialist theater like Samuel Beckett may not have contributed to my earning, but it taught me questioning can last a lifetime. The last straw from that Amanpour interview was the partisan attacks on libraries. Was the local library an important part of anybody's early years here? It was a part of mine. It was down the street from my home and a much quieter place. Senior ladies controlled the reading room with a head swivel. We are in serious decline if the public libraries are to be diminished like the liberal arts curricula of colleges. Even if we found unrequired and unsupervised studies like anatomy lessons there, still there was so much more in art, literature, and science. Now, in closing, our chalice is a good weekly reminder that fire, passion, is both heat and light, heart and brain. Here we get to work on our own, and we get inspired by learning what those before us had in them and by what those around us still have in them. For that, we need to listen. Our closing hymn is 128, "For All That Is Our Life." Let's stand and sing if able. All life is a gift which we are called praises we give for work and its reward, for hours of rest and love. We come with praise and thanks for all that is our life. Sorrow we must bear for failures, pain, and loss. We come with praise and thanks for all that is our life. All that is our life, we sing our thanks and praise. For all life is a gift, which we are wont to use to build the common good and make our lives good. Please be seated. I want us to keep singing that until we really have it down. I think we're getting there. We're making it up as we go along. Well, I'm not making this up. These are our closing words as we extinguish the chalice, and these are by the great figure Albert Schweitzer. At times, our own light goes out and is rekindled by a spark from another person. Each of us has cause to think with deep gratitude of those who have lighted the flame within us. Just a couple of brief announcements. Following the service today at 11:45 or so, we'll have our circle in the back of the sanctuary. Next week is our Pets Blessing service in the other room. Are you going to? 2 weeks? No, next week, the 24th. Isn't today the 17th? I swear next Sunday is the 24th. And that, were you going to be coming with Benji, your new housemate? That's a reason to come. If only to see this new housemate of Pat's, who will know when it is next week, I assure you. So that's next Sunday in the other room. And Tuesday is our time in the park, our bag lunch. Now you know everything you need to know to get through the week. Thank you.